Long before the first musket fired in the American Revolution, trouble had already started to bubble in the colonies, like a teapot just beginning to boil. It all started with a war, the French and Indian War, a long and costly battle between the British and the French that was fought over land in North America. The British won, taking control of a vast territory in North America, but victory did come at a price, a big price. By 1763, Britain was nearly broke. King George III and Parliament, which was the English government, looked at the American colonies and thought, they should help pay for this war. We fought to protect them. And after all, British soldiers had defended the colonists. King George III thought to himself, shouldn't the colonists pay their fair share? The colonists didn't quite see it that way. The first tax came in 1764, and it was called the Sugar Act. The Sugar Act placed a tax on sugar, molasses, and many other goods that were shipped into the colonies, and this made many colonists very upset. Not too long later, a new tax was sent to the colonies. This one was called the Stamp Act, and it took place in 1765. This one required colonists to pay a stamp on every piece of paper that they used. Newspapers, playing cards, even marriage license had to have this stamp placed on it. Protests erupted. Angry mobs burned stamp papers, and colonists formed a group called the Sons of Liberty, a secret group that organized boycotts and made life miserable for tax collectors. Under pressure, the king actually decided to repeal or take away the taxes. But they weren't finished. In 1767, Parliament passed down the Townshend Acts, taxing everyday items like glass, paint, lead, and tea. This time the colonists hit back harder. They boycotted British goods. Women even joined the fight by sewing their own clothes and making their own tea substitutes from herbs and berries. The protests worked. Britain removed all the taxes, except for the one on tea. The king wanted to remind the colonists who was in charge here. Tensions began to grow, especially in Boston. British soldiers were sent in to keep order, but instead of calming things down, their presence made everything worse. On a cold night in March 1770, a crowd of colonists began taunting a group of British soldiers outside the customs house. Snowballs and insults flew, and suddenly, before anybody knew what was happening, gunfire rang out. 5 colonists were killed. The incident became known as the Boston Massacre, and patriots like Paul Revere made engravings like this one, showing British soldiers firing into a peaceful crowd. The image spread through the colonies like wildfire, igniting anger, even though it was propaganda. Still, things settled down for a few years, but peace was only temporary. In 1773, Parliament passed the Tea Act, a law that actually did make tea cheaper, but it gave the British East India Company a monopoly on selling it. Colonists saw it as a trick or a sneaky way to get them to accept the tea tax and let Britain control them. Colonists across the colonies said, "We won't be fooled." In many ports, angry citizens refused to even let the tea ships dock. But in Boston, the governor, Thomas Hutchinson, insisted that the ships unload their cargo in the Boston harbor. That's when the teapot boiled over. That's when the colonists and the Sons of Liberty had to make a big decision, something that would change the course of American history forever. Like and subscribe if you liked this video. Give me some feedback. More like this to come.